Now, when he won the Universal title, he won it for basically a chubby, short guy that wrestles in a shirt.
Exactly, Kevin Owens.
Yeah, what do you think of someone like that being the representative of the company, which I understand they drew some of their lowest ratings in history during that time?
This is the thing is, Devon, and I mean, it reminds me of the time I left when business was hot. And I came back at Psycho Sid, and I was looking at people like Rex King and Steve Dahl. I'm going, hold on, I know these guys. They're not money people. What's going on? When I got there, I saw business was that bad. I hate saying it, but I see people like Kevin Owens and this Yakamura guy and these other people like this. When I see that, and I'm going, business has got to be bad. Or they're at a point that they don't care. That's the only thing I know.
Do you ever work Kevin Owens on the indie scene?
Yeah, I worked Kevin Owens and Jersey All Pro.
Are you surprised with his look, the push he ultimately got?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. I thought, same with him and Samoa Joe, I just thought both those guys could have probably gone to the gym a bit more, and maybe it would have enhanced their character. But I mean, if that's what it is, and that's the character that's supposed to be the kind of the guy that's a little thicker or fat guy that's gonna be, I guess, sympathized with or respected by all the other fat guys that are out there, then I guess that's totally understandable that you need a character like that. But I mean, Yokozuna was Yokozuna, and he was a sumo wrestler. These guys aren't 400, 500 pound sumo wrestlers. They're supposed to be athletes, and I don't think you could walk into MMA, and I don't see too many guys in UFC that are fat or out of shape that look like and are getting pushed like they're killers. I just thought, if I was that guy in that opportunity, what would a Kevin Owens be that was in the gym every day, that lost 30 pounds and got jacked a little bit and got a really good look? Would he be even more valuable? Maybe, and that's all I'm trying to say is I just want to see a character enhanced.
From what I've heard as a shoot, you know, like Kevin Owens is really Triple H's boy. And I mean, bro, you know, it's so funny. If you, like, bro, you know the old Sesame Street where they used to put like a picture of a chicken and a hen and a goose and a hammer, and they would say what here doesn't belong, and oh, the hammer doesn't belong. Bro, do you know the champions that WWE has had? When you look at the champions they had, go back to Bruno Sammartino. You know, you go back to the Hulk Hogan's. You know, you go back to, you know, just the champions they've had throughout their history. Billy Graham, Kevin Owens. I mean, come on, like seriously, you know? And, you know, I mean, bro, Roddy Piper wasn't even a WWE champion. And you look at the champions they had, you know, the Savages, and, you know, I think the Warrior was a champion. But then you look at Rock, and you look at Austin, and you look at Taker, and you look at Shawn Michaels, and you look at Bret Hart. You look at, like, this collage of champions. And then you put Kevin Owens' picture in that. Kevin Owens does not look like a champion. And you know what, bro? Maybe part of that is the WWE's fault. You know, bro, the WWE is responsible for ring entrance, ring attire, writing, developing a character, molding a character. They're responsible for that. So I don't put this all on Kevin Owens. They've got to make and create a star. But Vince McMahon was the one who told me, from Vince's lips to me, Vince, if you want to be a star, the first thing you have to do is look like a star. Vince McMahon told me that. Everybody I just mentioned look like a freaking star. Every one of them down the pike. Look, John Cena is a freaking star. Whatchamacallit? Lesnar is a star. These guys look like stars. Kevin Owens does not look like a star. And if he's there because he's Triple H's boy, well, that tells you a lot you need to know. And the fact that they are drawing less crowded house shows, that tells you something. Why they don't make a change, I don't know, bro. I don't know how things work there today. But when the WWE champion is the hood ornament of your company. If it were me, my hood ornament would not be somebody that looks like Kevin Owens. That's my opinion.
Because if you were an MMA fan and hadn't seen wrestling, and you looked at it and you saw that he was the champion,
Yeah.
Your first reaction, you know what your first reaction would be, bro? I could take that guy. That's the thing about wrestling, bro. When you go back to before I got in the business, and even when I was in the business, when you saw a wrestler on TV, like, you knew that guy would freaking wreck me.
I'm not going to criticize a guy's physique. I only met the guy once. Now, I can hate on him, and why? The guy, everybody has different dues in life to pay. Okay, yeah, I busted my ass in the gym, worked out to get the physique. He didn't. And he beat all the odds because who the fuck would have think that guy would have made it? You know, just based off his look. I'm just saying, realistically, at the time I was there, that guy wouldn't even got in a dark match. But the business has changed, and good for him. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. Save your money, pay your taxes quarterly, and invest it wisely because shit comes to an end.
Goldberg won the title off of this wrestler called Kevin Owens. What do you think about a guy that looks like him being like the representative of the company?
You know, nothing against Kevin Owens, but your world champion, I think, has got to be the biggest, baddest mother effer in the company, and has got to look it. That's what the company represents. The people have always loved to see these behemoths that can go and move. It's a big man's business. That's where I think that the business, because look, TV ratings Raw and SmackDown are the worst they've been in 25 years. Why? Look at your rate of world champions. People can give Cena crap all he wants, but he's the only guy that looks great. I mean, really great, like a world champ, and he's a good representative of the company.
Someone that the average person would want to fight.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier about Kevin Owens. Would you mind just telling us on camera what you think about Kevin Owens?
I didn't get Kevin Owens. When I first saw Kevin Owens, I didn't get it. I'd just seen a couple promos in Ring of Honor. And when I saw him against John Cena, or when I saw that he was going to face John Cena, I didn't get it. I saw his match in NXT when he wrestled CJ Parker. Okay, but it was a match to get him over, so he got over. Doesn't look like a typical star. Didn't see it. But once again, he did it. You work with John Cena. There's only one. When you start with Cena, there's only one way to go after that, though. That's the problem. So I didn't get it. I flat out admit I didn't get Kevin Owens. I didn't understand the hype. Didn't understand what people were talking about. I've seen that much of his career. So yeah, I fully admit, didn't get it.
What do you think of this guy Kevin Owens? It's their champion now, and shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, just I think the more you water it down, just back when we were going, here I go back in the day. Back when I was doing it, you respected the business, and there was no talk about it, and you dressed according like you were going into war with this stuff. You wear a t-shirt, you get it ripped off you. You wore jewelry, you got it ripped off you. You didn't act right, freaking got the hell beat out of you, for real. I like it more of a contest than what it is now. It just moves, and so I'm not a real fan of the new. There's some good guys in the business now that good guys. Orton and Cena, and those guys are good guys, and it's just you got to go with the flow of the business. I just don't agree with the direction it's going in.
I'll talk about myself just for a moment here, because you actually knew Kevin a lot better than I did. He claims that he trained me when in fact he doesn't have any hand in my training. But a lot of people think that I have something unfounded against him, but is it not true that he has been talking behind my back?
I've heard from numerous people that he's said negative things about you, he's called you dangerous, but I had heard that he had personally contacted Jay Lethal when you had booked him to work the Randy Savage tribute show, and said for him to not do the show and to be weary of you because you're a dangerous individual. I had heard that when you had gone to do a tryout with Ring of Honor, he had spoken to certain people there and had said that they should, you know, not give you the time of day, or, you know, be weary of you. There seems to be some sort of animosity between you guys. I know we've kind of talked about it, but it's not really my place to get involved in what that is. But it's just, there are many stories, and I'll use a Kevin reference that he said to me. He said to me one time, there are too many stories about you for it to not be true that you're an asshole. And what I'm saying here is that there are too many stories that I myself have heard with my own ears that indicate that he's got some sort of negativity towards you. And I'm really trying to be as neutral as I can with my words here.
People wrongfully believe that my dislike for Kevin Owens comes from him getting signed by WWE. I'm actually happy that he has a job in WWE. I'm glad he's made a lot of money there, and from what I understand, he's going to be under contract for quite a while. And that's fine. Good for him. The issues I have with him stem from a long time ago. I guess it all started when we were both training with Jacques Rougeau back around 2002. Kevin had already been training with Rougeau for numerous years by that point, probably at least 4 or 5 years, I believe. And I was also training with Jacques Rougeau at that time. At that time, Jacques was holding practices once a week. I always got along really well with Jacques. When I was at those practices, the main people I was talking to was Jacques himself and his sons, who I've always gotten along well with Jacques Rougeau's sons. And even Pierre-Carl Ouellet would stop by practice here and there, and I would talk to him. Kevin Owens was there as he was more experienced. He was more watching. He'd sometimes help out with things here or there, but other than saying hi to him, shaking his hand, I have very little contact with him. I don't recall having a single conversation with Kevin Owens during the time I trained with Jacques Rougeau. I never felt any heat towards him. We just never had any contact. It was not because I had anything against him, and to my knowledge, he didn't have anything against me. Well, I only trained with Rougeau for about a year, and I went back to Calgary to train at the Dungeon. The reason I was training with Rougeau was because his school was the closest reputable school to my parents' house, and I started off training in Alberta, but I ran out of money, so I had to go home for about a year, a little under a year, to save up to be able to move out to Calgary and actually stay there for a while, which I did. So fast forward to December 2004, I had some WWE bookings in January 2005 for a Raw taping in Toronto and a SmackDown taping in Montreal. Since it was around Christmas time and I hadn't been to see my family for like literally by that time 2 or 3 years, I decided I would come down about 3 weeks earlier or so before my WWE bookings and visit with my friends and family, and also wrestle in this area of Canada. Because for anyone that doesn't know the geography, this area of Canada is near New York, actually pretty close to Syracuse, New York, whereas Alberta, where Stampede Wrestling was, and the Hart Brothers School, is near Montana. So it's a pretty long distance away. Other than wrestling for Jacques Rougeau on a few of his shows, I had never actually wrestled in this area much. So I got myself booked on a bunch of independent shows while I was around here during those Christmas holidays. One guy who took a liking to me worked for one company in Quebec, and he actually helped me get numerous bookings in Quebec around the time that I was here. One of those bookings was for a company that I don't want to plug because I actually do still hold a little bit of a grudge to them over this incident. But I was supposed to wrestle for this company. I guess this company, Kevin Steen was close to the owners with. Kevin Owens was known as Kevin Steen back then. I received an email from the guy that was helping me get booked a couple days before this Montreal show I was supposed to do for this company, which was actually going to be the biggest independent show that was happening around the time I was there. So I was looking forward to it. But this guy messaged me and said, "Do you have any heat with Kevin Owens?" And I said, "No, why?" And he said, "Well, apparently he badmouthed you to this promoter and they don't want you on the show anymore." So at that time, I really hadn't seen Kevin Owens for 2 or 3 years, 3 years actually. And I was getting WWE tryouts and wrestling in Alberta. So I didn't care. I was a little disappointed I was off the show, but I didn't really care because I had WWE tryout matches coming up. I was more focused on them. So I didn't think about it again. And then when I moved back to this area of Canada around the summer of 2007, when I finished up my run in Puerto Rico, and Alberta was pretty much nothing going on there at that point. So I moved back here, started promoting my own events, and wrestlers would tell me that Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens, however you want to call him, was bad-mouthing me. So I actually never ended up using Kevin Owens on any one of my Great North Wrestling events. We did use Sami Zayn on one of them that we did in Montreal, but that's basically where the heat came from. I was always hearing from people that he was bad-mouthing me, so that's why I don't like him. As a wrestler, I've always liked, and you guys are going to give me heat that are the smart marks, but I've liked the Macho Mans that have had good bodies, the Undertakers, Ric Flair that was never a bodybuilder but looks like a wrestler. So like I even like the Ultimate Warrior and Goldberg. Okay, I'll get heat for that, but I'll be perfectly honest. Those are the type of wrestlers I liked. So I've never liked wrestlers with the style and look of a Kevin Owens, but as I said, I hold nothing against him. I'm glad he's doing well. He did work hard for his contract. I just wanted to explain my side of it, that actually the heat that we had, which I never knew the true reason of why he started bad-mouthing me in the first place back in 2004, was for me hearing from too many people to think that it's not happening, that he was bad-mouthing me behind my back. So that's it.
The incident that I was asked to talk about took place, if I'm not mistaken, it was probably in 2011, maybe in 2010, I think it was 2011. We had worked, which would have been for the third time, in a 3-team ladder match. And as we were doing the ladder match, you know, certain things, how can I put this? He put a lot of input into the match, and we were kind of butting heads on certain things. And I was advised by another one of the wrestlers in the match, you know, just let it go, it's Kevin, it's not worth fighting him. And, you know, my whole thing is like, you know, whatever, I really don't care who he is, I don't care who anyone is. You know, I have just as much of a say as anyone, and, you know, if someone's going to challenge to impose themselves in something, well, you're going to have to go through me, and you're going to get a hell of a fight, and it's probably not going to be worth it for you. But anyways, that aside, match went off well. I wasn't too upset, but I made it known to many that, you know, I didn't like the imposing that he put in the match. So fast forward to maybe a couple of months after that, we end up on a show together. We're not in the same match, and I'm putting a match together with 5 other guys. And his match had just finished, came outside where we were, and he started, you know, more or less calling me out. He was like, "Oh yeah, the match was fine, but you know, I'm sure Jeremy probably wouldn't have liked it. I don't think it was up to his standards." And really, you know, like really egging me on. You know, I just looked at him very, you know, peacefully, and you know, I'm not there looking to fight. I'm there. I was in my suit and everything, and you know, I wasn't really looking to fight with anybody. And I just said to him, "Look, do you have a problem?" Very diplomatic, you know, very much wanting to maintain the peace. And he's like, "Yeah, I do. You know, I hear you've been saying a lot of bad things about me." Obviously, he didn't use those words. He used more colorful words that I don't use. But anyways, you can imagine what it was that he said. So I said, okay, you got a problem? Let's settle this. What's the problem? And he's like, I hear you've been saying things about me. I hear you're upset about the match that we had. You're running my name down. And I said, okay, you know what, Kevin? First things first, we're here. We're starting to get a bit of a crowd. How about you and I, we go aside, we talk about this like two men. And he was reluctant. He said, no, we're going to settle this here. I'm like, no, we're going to go over there, just you and me. No crowd, no one around, no witnesses. And we're going to settle this like two men. He obliges, and he's really full of bravado, came at me like a bull out of a china shop. And, so I assess this, we go over there. And he says to me, I hear you've been saying bad things about the match that we did. You didn't like certain things. You've been saying things about me. I stop him and I say, look, as far as I'm concerned, everything that you said, everything that you heard, okay, consider it true. Consider it true, okay? As far as I'm concerned, I really don't care. I stand by what I said, and yeah, it is true. I didn't like that match. I didn't like the way you imposed yourself. I didn't like the way you were trying to do those kinds of things. And I'm making it known. And he says to me, well, why didn't you tell me this? Why didn't you tell me this before? And I said, well, look, when have I seen you since then? And legitimately, that was the first time I had seen him since we had done that match. And I said, I haven't seen you, but you know what? Here we are, face to face. So take this as me right now telling you to your face, whatever it is you heard is 100% true. We can either talk about this or we can fight right now. I really don't care. Right now, I'm upset. And I'm thinking, this guy is legit. I am in for a fight. I'm getting ready. I'm uncuffing my shirt that I have on. I'm thinking this is going to be a fight. I'm ready to fight this guy. And I'm thinking, what strategy am I going to use, everything, And then he says to me, what shocked me the most is he said, look, man, look, calm down, okay? Look, clearly you take this more seriously than I do. I'm a father. I have kids. I do this for fun, okay? I just want you to know that I've heard too many stories about you for it not to be true, that you are this kind of a bad guy, this kind of a bad person and whatever. And I said to him, Kevin, it's funny because a lot of times I get a lot of people that are telling me, I'm just like you when you were at your worst. The only difference is, and I mean this to this day, Kevin was given a lot more than me. Kevin didn't have as many detractors as I did. And, people definitely change. I'll give the benefit of the doubt. But the fact is, I had to be the way I was. And I'm a very defensive person. And I'm very confrontational. And when push comes to shove, it doesn't bother me to get up in someone's face and settle this mano a mano, man to man, fight to the finish, at least get the problem solved. Now, with Kevin, I said, you've been given a lot. You didn't have to be that way, yet you chose to be that way. But in a lot of ways, we are a lot alike. And this is why in this moment here, if we have to settle this like men, I'm all for it. But I'm not going to compromise my integrity or backpedal or say, hey, no, I didn't say that. I didn't say, no, I damn well said it. At that point, I think there was a mutual respect between us. But what shocked me the most is all these guys have backed down from him. I'm like, wow, am I the first guy to actually stand up and confront this guy, and now suddenly he's backing up? Surprising to say the least.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews ad-free and help our channel grow. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.